worst possible area going up Tampa Bay. 6 million people live in that vicinity of the path of the storm. It's going to be something to watch for sure.
That's exactly right. Meteorologist Matt Barentine earlier this morning, if you were watching Fox 10 News, he was mentioning that, saying that the Florida emergency officials, one of their worst case scenarios that they always run through is going to be one of those strong major hurricanes moving right up Tampa Bay. It's been a while since we've seen a system like this hit an area like that, and so that will be something to monitor over the next 24 to even 48 hours as Milton continues on that landfall approach, moves through the Florida peninsula, and then makes its way back out into the Atlantic. Now, this is still a strong system. We saw some of that weakening take place last night. It was a Category 5 hurricane late last evening. However, it underwent that eyewall replacement cycle. That's something typical that we expect with these Category 5 hurricanes. That's why, on average, they don't hold together longer than 24 hours because of that eyewall replacement cycle. It weakens them. They go back down. However, some of that strengthening is possible. We are starting to see Milton strengthen just a little bit more. The sustained winds 150 miles per hour, holding on to that Category 4 strength as it moves east-northeast at 9 miles per hour. However, the National Hurricane Center doesn't have it quite making it back to that Category 5 hurricane strength. But keep in mind, it's only 7 miles per hour away from those sustained wind speeds needed to be that Category 5. Regardless of what all of those numbers say, however, Milton is still going to be bringing significant impacts to the Florida peninsula and central to southern Florida heading into tomorrow and also on Thursday. Expected to make landfall as that major hurricane closer towards Tampa. So again, here's that Cat 3. It'll weaken to that Cat 2 as it gets further inland right near Orlando. And so still is going to be bringing all of that wind, that rain, those rain bands just on the outside. But the big concern is going to be some of that storm surge taking place near downtown Tampa, Tampa Bay area, even extending down to Fort Myers, Bradenton, Sarasota, all seeing some of those impacts from Milton. Even if they're not quite right where it's going to be making landfall, those impacts will still be felt. So it's important not to focus too much on the number, too much on that center path, because we will start to see those impacts felt all across central to southern Florida. Here locally at our beaches along the Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida coastline on the northern central Gulf Coast, we're going to be dealing with the high rip currents. It's rough at our local beaches. Please be cautious. Always know the name of the specific beach you're located on, where that closest lifeguard stand is, and also pay close attention to those beach flags. This will continue once we get closer towards Thursday. Here's the good news, however, we will start to see some improvements once we get closer towards the end of the week and into the weekend. Now, coming up in just a little bit, I'm going to be talking more about Hurricane Milton, those impacts to the Florida peninsula, and also what we can expect for our forecast here locally. We're still shaping up to have a nice week ahead of us. I'll have more details on that coming up in just a little bit. Joe. And also taking another look at our forecast here locally, a live look down at Orange Beach, and still just starting to see some of those rough waves. A few folks getting out there and enjoying it despite some of that. And also we had a cold front move through last night. It dropped down our dew points and our humidity, making it feel a little better. I'll be talking more about our local forecast along with Hurricane Milton. All of those details coming up when we come back.
Christmas as well.
That's exactly right. So I was mentioning that it's probably just a tester to put them in the Northeast for this season. So I need the Northeastern folks to give them business so that they can spread it nationally heading into next year. Well, just a reminder, right now is a great time to download the Fox 10 weather app. That way you can stay updated with everything that's going on. We do update these forecast videos for you daily. We have the short form at the top, the long form here right below that little radar. And then also, if you ever have questions on the forecast, specifically about who's included in that cone for Hurricane Milton or any of the other tropical systems, then this is also going to be a great way to track along, because you can zoom in directly on radar and see all of the towns, the cities that are included in this, because that's going to include Spring Hill, Clearwater, Bradenton, Sarasota, Northport, all included. But if you're looking closer, Cape Coral technically right outside of the cone. However, they'll still be feeling those impacts from Hurricane Milton as it does make that landfall approach heading into into tomorrow. So if you ever have questions about areas that are included in that track and in that cone, you can download the Fox 10 weather app, and that way you can zoom in and also just figure out where they are and who's all included. That way, in case we don't zoom in enough for you to be able to see some of it, that way your questions can be answered all through the palm of your hand and using the free Fox 10 weather app. Now, coming up in just a little bit, I'm going to have a final look at our forecast here locally and what you can expect. But for now, here is a live view outside in Clearwater Beach. This will be a much different picture heading into tomorrow. The waves, honestly, not that rough just yet, but Milton continues to only approach closer. We'll keep you updated here on Fox 10. We'll be back with 3 to know before you go when we come back.
Yeah, it's going to be a constantly evolving situation coming out of the pandemic years ago, with so many people going to remote work and how it all plays out and what's the right mix and all that kind of stuff. So
I was going to say, as long as you're getting the work done, you can still go do it somewhere else.
right. If you're getting the work done, that's cool with me. You know, unless you're doing like the bare minimum.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? Yeah.
Then it's okay for everyone. You have to keep that in mind, and the trend continues.
We don't make the rules.
Exactly. We don't make the rules, and also we don't do the remote work here.
That's right.
So let's go ahead and take a final look at your forecast. And there was a bad graphic in there, just a glitch in the satellite forecasting, so it was showing a bright pink flash. So I went ahead and moved on from that graphic, but I was going to show you the current sustained winds of Milton. It's that Category 4 hurricane, sustained winds of 150 miles per hour. Milton's still expected to make landfall closer towards the central Florida peninsula heading into tomorrow. So we do start to see more of those strong winds. It'll be late tomorrow night into the early morning hours of Thursday that it's still tracking across Florida. These impacts are going to be felt almost statewide. So central to southern Florida, you're going to really be feeling the impacts from Hurricane Milton here locally and on the Florida Panhandle, our Alabama and our Mississippi beaches. That's our impacts. It's going to be our rip current risks that are continuing to stay high. We had a cold front move through last night. It dropped down the humidity out there. It feels refreshing to start off for this morning. So temperatures mid-80s heading into today, staying sunny and dry. And that's going to be the story all week long. A beautiful weekend is in store for us here locally in the Fox 10 viewing area. So make some plans to spend it outdoors, some refreshing mornings too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We talked all morning about Milton. Our thoughts and prayers are with them. But here in our area, you've got some great opportunities to enjoy some beautiful weather. Thanks for joining us on Fox 10 Midday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.